All right. We will call this board of directors meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. Roll call over this land. We have a land acknowledgement anti-racism statement that we've written and supported that's on the board's website. Roll call tonight. We're missing Keith and Kanu and Timey, and Nancy just showed up. So we have Nancy here. Moving on, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, moving on to announcements. Do we have any announcements?
This is Joanne. I would like to share project updates with the board.
Go for it.
Welcome, Joanne.
Thank you. This is just a brief update on some of the active projects. The 2022 work on potholes is now complete. The 2022 road project, Cascade Lane and Green Hill are complete. Spring Road is paved and waiting for the treatment vault to be delivered. We expect that work to be completed in November. The 2022 road and drainage NOA, the project is about 70% complete and is scheduled to be finished by the end of this month, September. The marina parking lot is complete. The Barn 7 foundation removal, SVCA received the demolition permit, and construction could start as early as 9/12 and will be complete by 9/30. The Barn 8 siding replacement design is ongoing. We anticipate that permits will be submitted at the beginning of October, and construction is proposed to start in the spring of 2023. So that's a little further out in the calendar. Clubhouse kitchen repairs are underway and expected to be complete at the beginning of next month, October. Very exciting news for the golf course bridge. SVCA received the commercial building permit today. So that's what has been outstanding. And construction will be scheduled to complete by the end of September, so 9/30. Deck refurbishment and repair at the Welcome Center. This is also underway. The inspection report originally obtained on the property did recommend replacement of deck joists and support structure. So as planned, the work is in progress. When the original decking was removed, it was possible to fully assess the condition of the wood supports, and at this time, the necessary repairs to that support structure are being made. The completion date is expected to be 9/23. And that's all of my project updates.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
So are there dates set for the candidate forums, Josh?
I sent some dates to Nancy, and we have to talk about that.
Can't hear you,
Yeah.
Josh.
All right. He said
mic's
they're not
open.
confirmed. I'm sorry. I
Not
thought they were
confirmed
confirmed.
yet, but thanks.
I'm sorry. My fault. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Any other announcements? All right, we'll move on to property owner comments.
Yeah, 13 people with us tonight. So if anybody would like to jump in for property owners' comments, I think we just have the one session for this evening. I do have a hand raised already. I've got Nancy. I'm going to go ahead and bring you on over here. If you could give your name and address, please.
My name is Nancy Bailey. I live at 109 Windward Drive. And I have a question about what I think you're referring to as the Welcome Center. Was that the purchase from a May meeting that I seem to, is that what you're referring to? The purchase of the 1.5 million property on Lake Louise?
Yes.
Okay, from what I can find out, that seemed to have been discussed and voted on in a closed meeting. I think that those meeting minutes were just made available recently. Is that correct or incorrect? Was there ever any communication with the community about that?
The property was voted on and purchased in a board meeting.
Was that in
There was-
closed session?
No, you can't vote in closed session.
Can you tell me which meeting that was so that I might review it?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Were there community comments or input prior to that?
At the board meeting, yeah.
Just that board meeting?
Yes.
Okay, I remember you guys running on a format of communication and transparency. And somehow this doesn't seem to be either of those. And I'm not sure my comments will even be recorded for anyone else to read. Sometimes the minutes just say that there were property owner comments and they were answered. So I'm really curious to know when in-person meetings might occur again.
You're actually live right now and on camera, and it's being recorded.
So in the recorded part of it, I can see the comments from whatever was done to buy that property. Can you
Yes.
tell me which meeting I need to refer to?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to
Okay.
go
I'll
back and look.
It came as quite a surprise.
Hey,
Okay,
Nancy.
Thank you for your opinion.
All right. Thank you, Nancy. I'll go ahead and return you to the attendees at this time. And we have Andy up next. Andy, I'll go ahead and bring you on over here. If you could give your name and address, please.
Hi, Andy Glover, 120 Harborview Drive. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're
All right,
great.
I was just wondering if there are any issues or roadblocks with facility rentals or hosting non-SVCA hosted or sponsored events, or if there was any issues with that or what the process was. I've been kind of hearing, I don't know, people talking about like, I don't know, there's no non-community sponsored events. I was also kind of curious if there were plans for Halloween, the art thing, and breakfast with Santa. And that's not necessarily a question. It's like, gosh, I was curious. If you feel like answering it now, sweet. If you're going to talk about it sometime later, that's sweet too. Just throwing it out there. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Andy. I'll go ahead and return you to the attendees here. All
So-
right. And
Joanne, do you want to address the events?
Yes, a date has been set for trunk and treat. I don't have it in front of me. I apologize, but it will be advertised soon. The craft fair and breakfast with Santa are also being planned and should take place before the end of the year. Regarding rentals, there are some considerations about the types of events that can be held. A primary consideration is, as we just discussed, there's lots of construction planned in that area. And so we have to be careful about the timing and nature of the events. We're also in the process of reevaluating the fee schedule and insurance requirements for certain types of events that may bring vendors on premises or other businesses on premises. There is a requirement that those organizations show proof of insurance in order to comply with the regulations for that sort of thing. So we're sorting that out and creating a process to ensure that going forward we are in compliance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all
Any
right.
other?
Yeah. Any other property owners' comments? I've got a hand raised from Linda. Linda, I'll go ahead and bring you over. If you give your name and address, please.
Hi, Linda Bradley, 5 Wisteria Lane. So this deck project that's going on at the Welcome Center, I'm assuming that has to be a capital request. And how come nothing has been brought before the board for approval? And what's the value of that work?
All right. Thank you for your question, Linda.
That's all.
All right, I'll go ahead and
Joanne,
move
you
on.
want to answer that?
Sure, thanks, Andrew. A certain amount of funds was set aside for the work to be completed in order to finalize that new building for use for administrative and financial services audit staff to go in there. The deck itself is estimated to, that project has a value of less than just under $10,000, but that number is not final at this time because some elements of it are still being estimated. It's all covered in the initial set aside for that building and the work on that building.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else tonight? Just use raise hand in Zoom, should be down at the bottom of your screen, or you can find it in a menu in the app. I have Nancy with her hand raised again.
So we're at the 15-minute mark and we've already been through one round of questions. Do we want to do it again?
Fine, bring her over.
Okay. Nancy, I'll go ahead and bring you back over here. If you could repeat your name and address, please.
Nancy Bailey, 109 Windward Drive. I just don't remember an answer about the in-person meetings, when those are scheduled to come back.
The board hasn't revisited in-person meetings as of yet.
Okay. I would be addressing these questions to the general manager if he wasn't on a 12-week vacation. I just thought I'd let you know that.
Well, that's not really a question for the general manager, but okay, thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. I'll go ahead and return you again to the attendees. All right.
By the way, so Nancy,
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Nancy had a question about when that vote took place for that 1850 Lake Whatcom Boulevard. That was on May 19th. So if you go to that board meeting on May 19th, you can see it. Another question too about, like Linda Bradley brought up about the capital request for the deck repair, of course, and she might not recall, but maybe most people don't recall back when we did this borrowing resolution. So the loan amount that we took out was 2.15 million. And that was to refinance the existing SURF loan at the time. We also transferred $500,000 over from the operating account to the SURF account to pay for, approximately $500,000 of that purchase. So then another $1 million of the loan proceeds would go for the, to complete that 1850 Lake Whatcom Boulevard. There's also some excess built into that to cover, any sort of unanticipated repairs or like security type improvements, whatever we needed to do to make that building ready and available for when the staff moves in there. So that was a part of the borrowing resolution. And that was also stated back during that.
Thanks, Joel, and thank you, Joanne.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to continuing business. We got our election packet that we've been working on. The first item is the proposed bylaw amendments, which they're included in the election booklet that was sent to everyone. The language was drafted by Richard. And so, yeah, basically, pull it up here. There were the two measures, one about the sale, require member approval of the sale of Sun Valley non-trust properties, and a bylaw amendment to clarify member petition requirements. Those are both things at the last board meeting that the board wanted to see some language and commentary from the legal counsel on those. And Richard didn't see any issues with either one and helped us craft the language that you see here. So he's pretty much put his stamp of approval on the language. I think so. There was one thing that he said that was more of a board decision. I think it was whether it was a majority vote or not on the sale of the properties, or whether the board wanted to opt for a higher requirement. Is there anything I'm missing, Sonia?
No, that's exactly it. So what you have in that draft document, it is written to say a simple majority, which is at 50% plus one, but the board can choose to raise it the same way we do with the bylaw amendments, where it's a 2/3 vote of the membership, or any other number actually that we want to put in there. So that's something to consider.
Nancy? You're muted.
Discussing anything until now. Two things. One of the lines in it, a simple majority vote of those in attendance shall be required for approval. Does in attendance mean having voted or at the meeting?
Well, I would think that the way that means is that you're counting the ballots. Isn't that in another section when we're talking about the quorum, you're counting ballots and stuff? So I would think in attendance is the number of ballots.
No, quorum
No?
is 50
But I
for a
thought,
meeting. It's in the bylaws.
no, that's right.
I'm a little leery about the word attendance instead of voting members. 50% of, or whatever percent of voting members.
Well, that puts it at the budget. You're suggesting that it that we're, rather than doing it to reflect the same language as, like, let's say the bylaw for at a 2/3 vote of the votes cast, you're talking about a majority of all votes, all members. Am I correct?
Votes
No.
cast is fine. Just in attendance to me
is the
means-
problem.
Yeah, I just want to be clear what she was suggesting. That's all. Yeah, I mean, we can. I have that language altered to clarify that part.
Yeah, because to me, attendance means either logged in or sitting in a chair.
Okay.
And that's not really what we want for a vote of this magnitude. I don't know how you even do that, because there's no way to take a vote really at an SGM, and that's what
So-
this is.
Okay, so we'll have it changed. Instead of in attendance, it will say of all votes cast.
Very good, thank
Party of
you.
all votes cast.
That makes me more comfortable, and I may be thinking about nothing. The other thing I'd like to suggest, instead of simple majority, you know, our old bylaws, it was 60% for the budget to pass. Maybe we could use 60 instead of 66 or 50 plus one. It's just a suggestion. I'm happy either way. Anyway, that will get this passed. I'm not making a motion. I'm just trying to see what others think too.
Not opposed to 60.
I'm not opposed to 60.
We're talking 60% of votes
Votes
or
cast.
votes cast. That's
Yes.
reasonable.
Okay, then I move it be 60% of votes cast.
I second.
Is there any other discussion on that, or do we want to vote quick on that? All those in favor of 60% of votes cast?
Oh, I can't.
All right. Well, I will make a motion then that the board approve a bylaw amendment to be included on the ballot to the membership at the AGM, requiring member approval of the sale of Sun Valley non-trust properties with the revisions discussed or established in the previous motion.
Thank
Do I have
you.
a second?
I have a question. Did you just say, what'd you say, a bylaw amendment? Aren't we just adding a new bylaw?
Yeah, you're still amending the bylaws to add a new section.
Yeah. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
I second it first, but Morgan can have it.
All right. So we have some slight modifications to the language that we just discussed. And the motion on the table is to measure 2 in the ballot booklet with the changes made to put that on the ballot. Is there any further discussion on that?
So just real quick, since we sent this over to the board, I think it might be beneficial for the members watching if you read the detailed changes just read the new section so that it's on record what the new section is.
Okay, I can do that. So the detailed change is Article 3C, Section 25, sale of non-trust properties. The board may sell non-trust properties only after receiving member approval for such sale at a regular or special meeting of the membership at which a quorum is present. This sentence we have changed. It was a simple majority vote of those in attendance shall be required for such approval. We're having now it'll read with a 60% approval vote of those of votes cast. Measures submitted to the membership for the sale of a non-trust property shall include a description of the property to be sold and an estimate of the property's fair market value as determined by an appraisal or broker's opinion of the fair market value, which shall be kept on file at the association's office and shall be available for review by members upon request in advance of the meeting. Any sale approved by the membership under this section must be completed within 24 months from the date of the membership vote, and the sales price shall not be less than 90% of the valuation provided to the membership in advance of the meeting. This section shall not apply to residential lots within Sun Valley, which the association may from time to time acquire through lien foreclosure, tax sales, voluntary transfers, or other means.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on that one?
Why 24 months?
Well, it's a pretty long process when you're selling, lots, depending on like those types of decisions are pretty lengthy. There's usually planning involved in them.
Okay.
But what they're saying is that, you don't want to leave it open-ended. What if the membership voted for that and then nobody took any action and it took, 2 years to finalize the deal? Or
Yeah.
let's say, but you don't want to leave it out there for 5 years to
Right.
finalize something.
Yeah, I was just thinking 24 months seemed long, but
Yeah, these are multi-million-dollar properties, so.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, the motion on the table was to put measure 2 on the ballot for the membership to vote on. Call the question. All those in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. All right, so the second bylaw amendment that the board wanted to see brought forward, this one makes some changes to an existing bylaw, and it's regarding clarification of member petition requirements, basically just making it so that there is a representative for a petition.
Come on. Go outside. Come on.
So I can read the thing real quick. So it was in Article 3C, Section 2, Annual General and Special General Meetings. There is a section added in after the sentence discussing a petition requires 10% of the votes of an association, and the language is any such petition shall contain the following information: the purpose of the SGM, the proposed wording of any measures to be submitted to the membership, the printed name, signature, and the lot and division number for each signatory, and the designation of a representative and a backup representative for the petitioners, both of whom shall be SPCA members and who are authorized to receive communications from the association concerning the petition. And then
So I just moved that one section. There's a strike through because it was moved in a different spot in that paragraph. So that's all that is. And then just the additional,
yeah, this one's a little bit harder to just read. Petition may specify that the matter may be voted on at the next AGM instead of an SGM was struck out. And then there's a section added. The president, upon receipt of the petition and verification by the entity committee that the requisite number of member signatures are contained on the petition, shall cause notice to be given as herein provided for an SGM. And then if there's within 60 days, it'll be on the AGM.
right. And it doesn't eliminate that strike through that he just read. It's just moved in a different spot. It's moved immediately after the newly inserted sentence. So that's where it picks up. A petition may specify that the matter may be voted on at the next AGM instead of an SGM. So it's not eliminated. It has a strike through just because it was moved for the purposes of clarity of that bylaw.
Is there any discussion on this bylaw? Nancy?
I think it's great. For one thing, we didn't have anybody to talk to at the last petition passing an SGM, and it's nice to have somebody's name on it. It's also nice that it requires a member to pass around the petition, because otherwise, who knows? And I also like that the 60 days starts after petition signatures are verified, not when the petition is handed to the president, because sometimes petition signature verification takes longer than you'd think. So, thank you.
Any other discussion? Sonia?
I would just like to thank Miss Morgan Libby for having us put this on the ballot. So thank you. Yeah, I think it's awesome too. And it also clarifies some of that confusion about what it has to be included on the petition. He spelled that out in those steps, which is, the purpose, the printed name, the signature, the lot and the division number, and the designate representative and backup representative. That way there's no more confusion about that, no guessing. of what's okay and what's not, depending on how those petitions are structured.
Well, the association name should be spelled correctly on the petitions as well.
All right.
We'll check for spelling errors too.
I'll make a motion that the board approve a bylaw amendment to be included on the ballot at the annual general meeting for a vote of the membership regarding clarifications for member petition requirements.
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion on that? All right, we'll call the question. All those in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. All right, we will move on to the adoption of the 2023 draft budget.
I guess
So,
I'll,
go ahead, Joel.
okay. Do you want me to screen share?
No, we've seen the budget.
All right.
Joel.
Oh,
So unless
yeah.
anybody asks, I think we might be able to take a vote without that. I don't know.
I was just going to say, so I just made one actually very small little change to the budget. This is actually at the request of Brian Krulak for golf. Basically, to put this like in a quick nutshell, one of his positions, the assistant golf turf manager. So like the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, has this very exacting starting rate for a new person. When the position is vacant, that position has been vacant for months now. So the starting rate was very low. So what we had to do is we did what's called a memorandum of understanding with the union to increase that starting rate. Otherwise, we're locked into the starting rate, the old rate, which was appallingly low, was around 16 something an hour. So we bumped that up to basically 22 an hour. But long story short, by doing that, then the turf payroll, the salaries and payroll taxes. So basically that had an effect for that to go up $9,074. But then at the same time, Brian also felt that looking at his budget, looking at his budgeted revenue numbers for golf, that those numbers could easily also go up $9,074 to cancel out that effect. So what I've done is I've increased turf payroll, meaning payroll taxes. The combined effect of that is $9,074. However, the golf revenue numbers have gone up $9,074, so the net effect is zero across the whole budget, which just means the total expenses, that did say $3,969,961 in the previous budget version is now $3,979,035, but the revenues are obviously that same amount as well. So there's still a zero budget, meaning so it's still a zero budget, which was what was shown before. So that's the only change from all the other budget discussions that we've had, especially over those full 2 nights worth during the board meeting. So other than that, that is it in terms of for major changes for the budget. So I guess, I could recap real quickly just in terms of, so I already just, so what the total expenses, obviously the total revenues will be that as well. You're looking at total 2023 budget assessment revenue, which includes everything: surf, roads, mailboxes, operations special assessment, rec special assessment, which ends at the end of May 2023. But that comes out to, all of that comes, regular operating dues comes out to $5,045,864. Non-assessment revenue, which is, the golf and lease income, all that sort of stuff, that comes out to $1,565,016, which means total 2023 consolidated revenue will be $6,610,880.
Hey, Joel, would you mind sharing your screen so people can at least have something to gaze upon as you're speaking about it?
Sure, I could do that.
Well, I tried. I thought we were going to get out of here.
Can everyone see this table here? Just fine? Okay, okay. So basically, so this is, of course, everyone's seen this before in the past, ballots, that come out, ballot booklets. And so what you're looking at here is the 2023 consolidated budget revenue. So these are the numbers that I just got through explaining. And then basically just in a quick nutshell, then it explains, and I also discussed this too during the budget presentation, that there will be, in a sense, 2 levels of dues, meaning like the dues will change partway through the year. So January through May, because we do have the rec special assessment that goes January through May, this amount right here, $12.13. So obviously that goes up 3%, which is, which complies with that, with the SGM for the rec special assessment. Then this operating dues falls to make up for that, to keep the dues flat, 144.31 for developed lot, 134.67 for undeveloped lot. And then the second table shows beginning June, so that rec special assessment, that 12.13 right here, well, in that area, so that falls off, that goes away, it expires, it's gone. So that's where you see it down in here, sitting at 0 all the way across. So then the operating dues go up to, so basically the total dues right here on a monthly basis as compared to the dues at 12/31/2022 will go up 7%, but however, the overall effect basically is for a developed lot, your dues will then drop to $141.81. So January through May, it'll be exactly the same as you're paying now if you're a developed lot, $144.31. Then June through December, your dues will then, in total, your total dues payment will then drop to $141.81. So then the dues actually, total dues payment comes down $2.50 per month. Developed lots will stay exactly the same as they were before. I kind of hit on this at the last budget discussion, or maybe the one before that, but so basically, if we bumped up the increase, once that rec special assessment falls out, when we bump that up on a monthly basis, when you're looking at the dues payment between the December monthly payment versus the June monthly payment, we didn't quite, I could have bumped it up 7%, but then it would cause this 134.67 payment to go just a little slightly above that. And it's actually, it comes out to like a net effect of maybe 1,600 or something like that. And at that point, maybe it would cost about that much to send out all the coupon booklets, just for the vacant lot people. So we decided to keep the vacant lots flat. It's still at 134.67 all the way through the year, through 2023. But that, like in a nutshell, that's what you're looking for in terms of what your actually monthly dues payments will be. This last payment, or this last table right here, combines these 2 tables together. It just shows you how much money you're going to spend for the whole year. Like if you're just go on and write a check for the whole year, or all your monthly payments, when you add up all these 12 payments, this is what it'll be for a developed lot and a undeveloped lot. And then just real quickly, then I have a capital table in here, just so basically the layout's the same as the last budget, just with new updated capital numbers. Now, of course, as I've also talked about, so these capital dues amounts, monthly amounts will stay unchanged from 2022. So the SURF is still 3610, roads 3713, mailboxes 67 cents. And then on this page, actually page 8, this is where it's basically showing all the budgeted income and budgeted expenditures on basically a categorical basis. And then you can see that it's total net income from operations 0. Since obviously we have same amount of revenues budgeted as we do expenses for a 0 budget. But I would say that is basically, in a nutshell, that's the budget, both operations and capital. If there are any other questions on that?
Thank you, Joel.
Sure, yeah.
Does anybody have any questions or discussion on the budget? I'll make a motion that the Board of Directors adopt the 2023 annual consolidated budget with a total combined assessment and non-assessment revenue of $6,610,880.
Second.
Does anyone have any further discussion or questions? All right, we will call the question. All those in favor of adopting the 2023 budget? All right, that passes unanimously. Thanks, everyone, for all the time and effort that went into putting that together. It's greatly appreciated. Nancy?
Yeah. I'd like to revisit measure 3, which is the bylaw amendment to clarify member petition requirements. Currently in Article 3C3, printed name, signature, and the lot and division number for each signatory. I'd like to add and street address to that list, because a lot of people don't know their lot and division off the top of their head. They know their street address, and if they put their street address down, the petition manager or somebody else can figure out their lot or division and lot number.
So do you want to say division and lot number or street address?
No, both.
Oh, okay.
Street address and division lot number.
Okay.
No, or that's pretty much what was on it for the last petition. It just, the only difference was it said division lot was optional.
And generally, it's the other way around. It's the division lot that's
Right.
required. And so, yeah, if it's required, I agree with Nancy, because we've seen that before in petitions. That does allow the petition representative to then fill in those. If you know what the addresses are, can look them up on the
Yeah.
assessor site and everything.
As
So-
long as the person signs it.
Sam?
So do you believe that that will help verification? So if the case there was a discrepancy, somebody did something wrong with the division or lot, it's like they get their, you're right, they get their address right. So that would allow that to get counted versus kicked out of the pile, because so their vote would count it, however they did that. I agree. If that's the purpose of that is to have another place to say it's okay. All right.
We can add that if they've signed it with their signature. I mean,
Well, in the past, right, when we had to do division and lot on ballots, staff helped. You know what I'm saying? So, because staff can also has ability to search addresses. So if it came down to it, if there were petitions, there's ways to help fill that blank in. But it definitely, yeah, I agree. I think it's a good idea to require both of them, and whether it's the petition representative or staff assistants to figure out what that division and lot number is if they don't know it. We just make sure that the final ones have that.
I think that would help. I mean, because somebody's putting their name on something that, and then somebody makes, or they use a slightly different name, and then you miss a number on the lot and division, which is, hey, I agree. That's just real easy to do because that's not what we use. We use the address. So that would help clear things up faster, make it a little easier to verify. I agree.
I'd like to put the onus on the petition manager, though, to check those out, not the N&E committee who's trying to verify it. The petition manager can go through and see that those match.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we leave it the language that what you're talking about, which is the printed name, signature, lot and division number, and street address for each signatory, then that does put the onus, that just leaves the onus right there. We don't have to really address it further than that, I don't think.
So the petition gatherer, the person of note that signed on, then they could actually go they got an address, they've got the people's name and signature, but if they didn't know the division lot number, can they get that added? Would we, the petition holder, have the right to help and have that checked out and put in, or do we just turn that over to staff and say, well, here's your address?
No, the petition manager can fill that in. They've signed it. The one thing the petition manager cannot do is forge a signature. You know. And because we have not adjourned the meeting, a simple majority vote will add that. If we had adjourned the meeting and gone back and tried to add street address, it gets a lot more complicated.
Anyone have any objections to that friendly amendment? Okay, we'll call that by acclamation then if there's no objections. It's a simple fix. All right, so the last thing on the agenda for tonight is the election booklet. There's obviously a couple changes that we've discussed tonight that'll be made. And Nancy will be uploading the information from all the candidates tomorrow morning, I believe. And yeah, so essentially, it's just kind of asking if anyone sees any errors or grammatical or spelling or anything kind of like that in the ballot pamphlet. I believe Nancy said that UNELEC will take it and format it all so that it's the most legible.
Right. All we do is supply the information. UNELEC formats it. I forgot the exact words that their contract says. It's number 11 in this. Any committee will provide UNELEC with all final ballot package information as soon as available, but no later than September 9th, 2022. UNELEC will then design and provide proofs for all election materials before going to print. So we'll get another chance to look at it.
Yeah, it'll stay in this order though. It may have a different look, but it'll stay in the order that that you guys have received it. So if you see anything that like AJ was saying that doesn't make sense or just a mistake, Josh had a problem with the page numbers, which we couldn't figure out how to make them smaller. So, but the good news is we're not responsible for the end result.
Nancy?
The one thing I'd like to meet is on the first page in the notice section, it goes, it is anticipated the meeting will be in person, but in view of the fact there's rising COVID case count and future uncertainty about gatherings, the situation may dictate the meeting be converted to a remote meeting, and I would like to insert or a hybrid meeting.
Okay, so on the PDF version that you guys got, I thought Nancy wanted me to remove that. And so I actually just took it out, Nancy, where it just says, I eliminated it, and where it goes, notice is hereby given, exactly everything you said. And then it says, will be held at the dance barn located within Sudden Valley on Saturday, the 5th of November at 1 p.m. And then it just says information for attending the AGM Zoom webinar is included at the end of the agenda.
That's probably good enough.
Okay.
And, or you could say at the end of the agenda, and you should send something that says, look at the website to be sure.
Okay.
But I don't care if you leave the whole paragraph in there about it is anticipated. I just
Okay,
didn't.
I can put it back. It's fine. I thought you meant you wanted it out of there.
No,
So
it's,
I'll put it back in. That's fine.
I just want it to be clear, it's not an either all in person or all Zoom.
Okay.
Because it could be a hybrid like we had for the SGM.
Okay. So you guys have that version too. I had sent it and I resent it. So this is the final one. So, all right. Yeah, that's no problem. I'll stick that back in there. Anything
There any
else?
anybody else find any other issues and stuff? Obviously we'll put everything in, send it to Unilec, they'll send a proof back and we can send that back around to everybody to get eyes on it to make sure before it goes live for printing. Are there any objections to the ballot packet as it was presented? Obviously with the changes we've discussed tonight. Not hearing any objections, so just say
No.
we're all in agreements by acclamation. So we will make a few of those changes and get it off to Unilec and get a proof back to the board once we get that from them for a final review before it gets printed. All right, that is the last item on the agenda today. So I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? All right, thank you, everyone.